Chapter 21. The number 6. Magical equilibrium is expressed in the Kabbalah by the Shinari. Considered in its first cause, this equilibrium is the will of God, it is liberty in man, and mathematical equilibrium in matter. Equilibrium produces stability and duration. Liberty generates the immortality of man, and the will of God gives effect to the laws of eternal reason, transcendental magic, Levi. Number 6 is primarily the number of the Christ force in nature, the force back of evolution. It is the number of unrest and incompleteness in that it represents the unrest of nature, incomplete and ever becoming, ever striving for perfection, ever changing form that the Christ force may manifest more perfectly. The Christ force is the spiritual creative power back of the universal urge toward perfection which is inherent in both nature and man. As we have said elsewhere, it is a spiritual emanation from the Godhead, the Son of God, or the Godhead in its creative aspect, that mystic power or principle which fructifies and animates all manifestations of life. It is the divine creative force, a great stream of life-giving, creative essence which manifests in all things on all planes as the animating principle of the one life. In nature it is focused in and through the physical sun, for only as the sun pours out its life-giving, fructifying power, sheds its symbolic blood, can the one life manifest in the various forms of nature and evolve them to perfection. In the physical universe it is the same animating principle that flamed out from the Godhead in the beginning when the Elohim said, "Let there be light." And it is this same mystic, creative light which must enter the chaos of your outer life, even as it did the chaos of the solar system, ere your life can begin its conscious spiritual evolution. All the physical and mental evolution is but a preparation for this new and higher step. Witness Paul's confirmation of this view, "For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, hath shined in our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ." Number 6 therefore shows that the cause of all evolution is the urge to perfection inherent in every living thing. This urge results in the conscious adaptation of the organism to its environment, in contradistinction to the so-called scientific theory that evolution results from blind and mechanical reaction of the organism to its environment. This inherent urge toward perfection is symbolized by the geometrical formation of the figure 6 itself. In the vertical line, we have the one God, the one life, etc., coming down to manifest within the O of the microcosm, man, thus, O, that it may inform, fructify, and evolve all the germs of life within it. The O of the May 6th also be considered as the microcosm which contains all man's unmanifested God powers, while the line running upward symbolizes the unrest and aspiration of the soul which is determinately reaching up and endeavoring to manifest ever greater degrees of divinity. It is also the ladder of God, the antiskarana, along which the angels are continually descending and ascending. The sixth principle in man is buddhi, or the soul principle, which cannot rest until it finds its spiritual home and reaches the perfection of manifestation in number 7. Great as is number 5, it is but the preparation of man for number 6, for in number 6 we have a higher principle, soul, added to the merely human, 5, just as the human was added to the merely animal. The breath of life which makes him a living soul and divine, instead of allowing him to remain merely a human animal. It is the inner urge of this soul principle toward perfection of unfoldment and expression that causes the six-sided cube of the purely animal man to unfold into the cross or tree upon which the spiritual man must be crucified in matter, until the lower square of the unfolded cube has been lifted up or indrawn and the cross has been balanced. Man cannot be at rest until he has become one with the animating principle of nature and recognizes that the same creative principle works in him to bring forth perfection as it does in nature. That 6 is the number of the Christ force is confirmed by the number symbolism of the Gnostics as set forth by Marcus. After 6 days, that is to say, in the 7th stage since the disciple first set his feet upon the path, he ascended into the mountain, a graphic symbol for the higher states of consciousness. The 6, the Arahat, being thus of the same essence as the World Mother, Wisdom, contains essentially in himself the whole number of all the elements or powers. Again, it was on the 6th day, the preparation, that the divine economy or order of things manifested the last man, the man from heaven, for the new birth or regeneration of the first man or man of earth. And further, the passion began in the 6th hour and ended in the 6th hour, when the initiate was nailed to the cross. All of which was designated to indicate the power of creation, inception, and regeneration or rebirth, consummation, typified in the number 6. Again, the spoken or effable name of the Savior, Jesus, consists of 6 letters, while his ineffable name consists of 24. Again, at the baptism there descended upon Jesus the dove, which soars again to heaven, its upward course completing the Jesus, or 6, and making him into the Christ, or 12, the information according to knowledge, or perfect illumination. Much has been said about the coming 6th subrace into which we are now entering, and in which the seed of the 6th great race shall be sown, and we look forward with great expectation to its accomplishments. But to comprehend that which shall be, we must consider the significance of the various races. In the 5th race, man reaches the point where he is above the mere physical, animal man, 4, and is the human, 5, with the power to dominate. But at this point in his evolution he has also the power to reach out to number 6 and begin to contact 6th race powers. During the 4th race, man struggled through the astral world, and by his psychic powers and the lower aspects of mind dominated and enslaved the lower kingdoms. During the 5th race, man has been learning to dominate the lower kingdoms through the use of his magic pentacle and is reaching up into the 6th or Christ power. During the 6th race he will evolve and ultimately dominate through spiritual power. Even today man is grasping the ideal of dominating as a soul rather than as a king of the physical world. Ultimately there must see 6 me the Superman, who shall dominate the physical and reach up into the higher realms and find his fulfillment in the 7th race. Number 5 is the sign of accomplishment, number 6 the struggle toward a higher accomplishment, and number 7 the crown of attainment. 6 is the number of toil and labor, also the great work which each soul must accomplish. 6 days shalt thou labor, and do all thy work, says the commandment. The children of Israel gathered their manna during 6 days of the week, but none on the 7th, and 6 days the Lord, Elohim, made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested on the 7th day. Remembering that the word Lord refers to the great law governing the manifestations of the Christ force, we at once grasp the significance of these 6 days of creation. Their symbolism is given by Philippus Levi as follows: first day of creation. The light splendid and radiant, Unity, number 1. Second day. The firmament, or the necessary separation between spirit and form, between the fixed and the volatile, between the heavens and the earth, number 2. 3D day. Germination of the earth under the influence of the heavens. Germination begins with the revelation of the ternary, number 3. Fourth day. The sun and the moon rule over the day and the night. Division of the seasons by the quaternary. Primitive quadrature of the circle, number 4. Fifth day. Life manifests itself in the bosom of the elements, constitution of the kingdom of man in the number 5, number 5. Sixth day. The earth and the fire respond to the air and the water and give their living animals. The triangle, which is the reflection of that of Jehovah, forms itself in the soul of man, and God says to him, Facimus hominum, for man must share in his own creation. Number 6. Seventh day. On the seventh day God rests. That is, the septenary, being the perfect number, there remains nothing to be done after it, number 7. He also gives the symbolism of the first 6 chapters of Genesis as follows. First chapter. The unity of God manifests and sums itself up in the unity of man, number 1. Second chapter. God completes man by woman, and intelligence by the law, number 2. Third chapter. The serpent interposes as a third between innocent man and woman. God interposes as a third between guilty man and woman, number 3. Fourth chapter. Adam and Eve begot Cain and Abel, and from 2 they became 4, number 4. Fifth chapter. Humanity sums itself up in the person of Seth, who was the heir of Adam and Eve in the place of Cain and Abel. 1 becomes the synthesis of 4. It is the 5 in its whole power, number 5. Sixth chapter. Creation of political and religious humanity, beginning of the antagonism between the sons of God and the children of men, number 6. Seventh chapter. Noah and all his household rested in the ark for 40 days and 40 nights ere the raven was sent forth. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. Number 7. Can you believe that all this is found thus arranged by chance? And do you imagine one can understand a single word of the Bible without the key of the sacred numbers? Not only did the great law create the earth, the sea, the heavens, and the material universe, but that same law is continually creating the same conditions both in nature and in man. Is it not the incessant working through matter of the same Christ force that creates, evolves, out of the seed the tree, out of the bud the flower and fruit, and in man, out of his fleshly desire spiritual aspiration, out of a dense physical body a spiritual body, all as a result of the Godward urge to perfection? And the law will continue thus to work as long as number 6 prevails, for number 6 is incompleteness, and the great law will rest only when the 7th day dawns, i.e., when there is no more incompleteness, hence nothing to work through. Therefore the Lord, law, blessed the 7th day and hallowed it. This blessing is the result of work accomplished, the blessing of rest and satisfaction. All things that are completed are hallowed by the very fact of their completion. We toil over a task, and when it is done and well done, which is the meaning of completeness, what a feeling of perfect satisfaction is ours. We not only rest from our labor outwardly, but within we rest in the hallowed content that comes from a task accomplished. Hence number 7 is always a time of hallowed rest, a blessing of accomplishment, and it is the law which brings it. It was also on the 6th day that man was created in the image of the Elohim. The Elohim are none other than the Sephiroth of construction, the 6 Dayan Chohans, or Manus, or Prajapatis, synthesized by the 7th Breshith, the first emanation, or Logos, and who are called, therefore, the builders of the lower or physical universe, all belonging below. These 6, whose essence is of the 7th, are the Upadi, the base or fundamental stone, on which the objective universe is built, the noumenoi of all things. Hence they are, at the same time, the forces of nature, the 7 angels of the presence, the 6th and 7th principles in man, the spirito-psychophysical spheres of the septenary chain, the root races, etc. In the vision of Enoch he tells us that the 6th gate of heaven is at the east. The sun now returns to the east, entering into the 6th gate, and rising and setting in the 6th gate 31 days, on account of its signs. 7 at that period the day is twice as long as the night. In other words, the 6th gate or number 6 represents the period for labor or, as Enoch called it, the 6 hours or the period for work. It is the long day, twice as long as the night, in which evolution struggles for perfection. And since the life force manifests in a spiral, if we take a spiral having 6 turns, we find that at the 6th turn the line representing the outgoing force is twice as long as that of the previous turn. The idea of connecting number 6 with labor and the working forces of nature is well illustrated in the structure of the bee and the ant, which are important factors in evolution and the most widely accepted symbols of industry and systematized labor. Bees, wasps, and ants, which all belong to the same family, are recognized as being 6-structured, being made up of mandibles, 2 pairs of wings, and 3 abdominal segments, the head being classed as one of these. They also have 6 legs. The social instincts and industrial habits of the ant have made a great impression on the minds of men in all ages. Solomon tells us, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise." Both the bee and the ant are said to have come to this planet from Venus, and in the Greek legend of Cupid and Psyche, which is the story of the soul, Psyche, and its struggles through matter, its seduction by mortal love, Cupid, and its final purification through incessant labor, 6, and suffering, we again find the ant. When Venus gave Psyche seemingly impossible tasks to perform, the 6-legged ants came to her assistance and by their industry and patient perseverance ultimately performed every task, even though Psyche had to descend to the infernal regions and wrest from Proserpine the secret of her beauty. Proserpine, who spent half her time among the gods and the other in the netherworld as the wife of Pluto, represents nature. Hence the secret which the soul must wrest from nature is the secret of the ever-working, rejuvenating, and active power of the one life, the Christ force, or number 6.